Listen, I know that we are, and I'm gonna start with that because I know that the answer is largely we are all feeling worried. We're feeling a little bit frightened. We're feeling annoyed. We're feeling tired. We're feeling uncertain. So that check-in is okay, and it's okay to feel all those things, but we also got to start to feel motivated. We have to feel empowered because the only way that we're going to be able to combat all of the things that are being thrown at us is if we stay engaged, if we stay empowered, and we stay rooted in the understanding and the knowledge that the power of the people is still and remains greater than the people of power. So I wanted to thank you all so much for having me here today. I think a big thank you to Mom's Clean Air Force for convening this critical conversation in this really critical time. We got to do it. It's hard work. I just want to say, so we've heard a number of things today. We talked about the impact of environmental racism on our community, something deeply important to me. We've talked about the false promises of the fossil fuel industry and the plastics economy. We've talked about the harm of fossil fuel drilling in Pennsylvania and across the country, and all in the face of mounting rollbacks from the Trump administration. But we also talked about solutions, and we're going to keep talking about solutions because we have them. We talked about legislation that puts our kids and our climate first, ways that we can get microplastics out of our water, voices that we can listen to make our communities healthier and safer, the importance of getting money out of politics again. But we also have to recognize that so much of the inequality that we are dealing with is cyclical. That's why I said it. That's why it took long. It is cyclical and it is intentional. And where we have intentional policy decisions made, we also have to have intentional policy decisions to remedy them. That's why I am honored to announce that I intend to launch our new Environmental Justice Caucus in Congress to tackle these issues head on and to find solutions that work, but also to find solutions that are community rooted. Because we know that in the communities that have been harmed, we also know that there are solutions because the people who are impacted every day have perspectives and have a voice and they have answers, and we need to make sure that we're being intentional about including them at every step of the way. And we can't allow more harm to our kids, to our communities, to our climate. Folks are suffering. Our planet is suffering, and we have to use every single tool available to us, even when it feels like we're up against a tidal wave in our bare hands. This caucus was intended to be launched in concert or in partnership with the late Representative Raul Grijalva, and I wanted to bring him into this space because we know that he has done such impactful and important work. We talk about the intentionality behind going directly to impacted communities, indigenous communities, Black and brown communities, poor and working communities, to craft legislations directly with the people who were involved. This is what this caucus is about, to not just honor, to carry on that legacy, to make sure that we're using this as a vehicle to get, for instance, the Environmental Justice for All bill across the finish line finally, and to continue that work of not just Rep. Grijalva, but also Rep. Donald McKeeshan, who was another stalwart in the environmental justice policy movement, and to continue on that historic coalition building work that they did, that they led in creating that these, not just the Environmental Justice for All Act, but so many pieces of legislation that we are using, not just because we wanted to get passed, but also to organize, for you all to organize. So this caucus aims to carry on that work of participatory policymaking. This caucus will not only continue to advocate for the passage of the EJ for All, but it will also defend the process, the principles, and the communities that shaped it. In that spirit, we're building the caucus around the HIMAS principles, centering frontline voices and creating space for true bottom-up collaboration. It's going to be a platform for our partnerships and for co-governance, for members to listen, to learn, to hear from, and to act alongside our justice communities. So we're going to be hosting standing community advisory tables, task force-driven engagement to defend frontline communities, hold federal agencies accountable, and elevate community-driven solutions. So whether you find yourself in the environmental justice space because you care about heat zones, you're here because you're Black or you're brown or you're indigenous, you're impacted, you're poor, and you're working class, and you know that your whole outcomes, economic and health, are impacted by your zip code and by your race. You're here because you care about pollution in our air. You care about our air quality. You care about the fact that the global South is already facing the climate catastrophe that we're pretending doesn't exist. Whatever brings you here, this caucus wants to hear from you. and it wants to represent your needs and your voice. So we shouldn't have, and we won't continue to accept the status quo. Together, I want us to be able to build that country that doesn't answer to corporate interests or our biggest polluters, that doesn't look for our biggest polluters to be the people who tell us what green policy actually is. But we need you, and we honor and respect your work, and I thank you so much for being in this fight. I thank you so much for your organizing, your advocacy, the work that you have done to build this up, and we continue and will continue and look forward to continue to be in this fight with you all. So thank you so much for being here today.